All right, guys, another cigar themed whiskey. I said at the beginning of this year this was going to be a theme, and here we are. Among the different trends we have seen in bourbon, the cigar batch or blend or cigar style tends to draw in whiskey enthusiasts immediately, especially for those, looking for a whiskey to pair with a cigar. So out of Colorado, Old Elk has brought us the Cigar Cut, which is a straight bourbon whiskey described by the brand as a select blend of our award-winning signature high malt straight bourbon whiskey, aged 6 years, finished in sherry, Armagnac, port, and cognac. Can it hang with the recent batches of Joseph Manus? Let's find out. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum. Welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, help grow the channel for 2023. Appreciate the support, Whiskey Tube family. So Old Elk describes this offering as being inspired by the warm glow of a smoldering fire, as well as the popular pairing of whiskey and cigars. So with that said, Old Elk Cigar Cut has been drawn from what's described as the best of the best from the distillery's cask finish series. It's bottled at 110.6 proof and has a limited national release that's going to be ongoing. Now, one thing I do like about Old Elk is in all their whiskeys, especially their specialty releases, they tell you exactly what's going on in the bottle for the most part. So let's break this down a little bit more. This is a blended bourbon with a primary age of at least 6 years. Plus, we have the secondary maturation times as follows. So it was in a sherry cask for 1.5 years, an Armagnac cask for 1.25 years, port cask finish for 3 to 8 months, a cognac cask finish for 3 to 6 months, and price for this will be around 120, 125 bucks. The side of that label, like I said, it actually tells you what those cask maturations are and the length of those cask maturations. So right after I review this, I'm going to compare it to one of the more recent Joseph Manus Cigar Blends, just to see if there are any differences, what the big similarities are, if any. So let's dive into this one first. Old Elk Cigar Cut. Here we go. So first thing I think I smell is more of the port and the sherry, because there's a nuttiness to it that's immediate to me on the nose. Kind of a trail mix vibe to it, because it's kind of, there's a nuttiness quality I'm getting to it, but there's, a rich dry fruit note as well. I mean, it's bright. It doesn't smell overly, like there's some older whiskey in here. So even at the minimum, if there's 6 years, if there's older whiskey in here, if we're talking, 10 years or older, it might be minimal, but we don't know what that highest age is. There is a grapiness to it as well. I mean, when using Armagnac, cognac, that's what you're gonna get. There's a little bit of like a fresh leather note to it as well, I think, when you get into these older casks with like Armagnac and cognac, those notes really do come out. All right, so pretty decent nose, nice balance. See what it does on the palate, guys. Cheers. Another cigar blend. Here we go. Well, I am surprised at how malty and nutty this is coming off as. Wow. They said it's their high malt, and it tastes like it. It's malty. It's a little bit more of like a toast profile. Like I say that all the time when I review scotch. Sometimes you can get like this almost burnt toast type feel to it. And I think I'm getting that in this as well. Yeah, a lot of malt. It's almost coming off like a chocolate, and I know what this tastes like. This might be a little old school, but do you guys know the purple, the candy bars by Cadbury, the fruit and nut bars? Come on, I know some of you know what the hell I'm talking about. It's that big purple candy bar that's labeled Cadbury Fruit and Nut, and it's a bar of chocolate basically with peanuts and dried fruit in it. And that's exactly what this is reminding me of. I mean, it's taking me back. Like I have a fresh, cracked bar, that Cadbury Fruit and Nut bar. And like I'm just biting into it. And that's basically what I'm tasting. It's fruity, it's nutty, it's a little bit chocolatey, and it's got some of that maltiness to it too. It's got a little bit of a dry finish too, which I would expect, especially with being, their high malt mash bill. And then on top of that, you have, just the influence of those older casks when you talk about an Armagnac and a cognac, all those different types of finishes that kind of play into it. I mean, yeah, sherry too. I mean, sherry also could have some inherent nuttiness as well, whether it's Oloroso. I would guess it's Oloroso. PX is usually a lot sweeter. I don't think I'm getting a lot of PX on here. Yeah, it's malty, it's nutty, it's kind of what I'm getting is what I'm getting. It's got a nice finish to it, a little bit of a pepperiness to it. Now, how this would go well with a cigar, I have yet to test that theory, but I could see this going well with some cigars. I don't think it would do well against a, you know, powerful cigar, you know, one that's like really dark and dense and earthy. I think this would completely collapse underneath that, but if you have kind of a medium-based cigar, I think this would do really well. All right, last sip, and then we're gonna compare it to Joseph Manus Cigar Blend. Yeah, I mean, it's staying consistent. Now, whether that to me is consistently like okay, is it consistently good? But let's compare it to one of the newer batches of Joseph Manus Cigar Blend to see how it holds up. Joseph Manus Cigar Blend. So, for those of you that don't know, this is finished in Armagnac, Sherry, and Cognac. So the one finish that the Old Elk has on the Magnus is they also have a port finish involved in here as well. So this is batch 102, which is called the Sweet One 3. There was also a Sweet One 1, a Sweet One 2. This is the third iteration of the Sweet One. It's also about 115 proof. So let's see what we get here. Wow, the Old Elk, I think even more than the Magnus, is the Sherry and Port. Now, I'm sure there could be some Armagnac and Cognac mixed in there, but I feel like I get more of that, more on the palate than on the nose. The nose is just coming off really sweet. I'm getting like dark, like raisins and cranberry, stuff like that. Whereas this Magnus is pretty sweet. It is named the Sweet One for a reason. This is like ice cream and powdered sugar. A little bit of dried fruit there as well. A little bit of that grapey notes coming through, just kind of like the Old Elk. So let's give the Joseph Manus a try. I don't know, something about the Magnus just has just a little bit more richer flavor here on the palate versus the Old Elk. You know, the Old Elk is not bad, but I think that maltiness is in some ways kind of maybe overpowering the finishes. It might be playing, I think they're playing well together, but it's coming off more like that, giving that chocolate, like that chocolatiness to it as well. Yeah, this is, the more I sip this, the maltier it's getting. So, if you're used to drinking Scotch, or if you like Chattanooga, Tennessee high malts, this could definitely be a route you want to go. But if you're used to drinking the Joseph Manus Cigar Blends, this is sweeter, not as malty. And again, guys, you know, the Joseph Manus batches, they vary from batch to batch. I know some people that I've talked to think that they all kind of taste the same, or when they buy a bottle to bottle, that's what they think they're gonna get, but that could not be more wrong. These vary greatly. Now, since this, the Old Elk release is gonna be, you know, an ongoing release, we'll see if there's some changes to this as well. But I think that maltiness in the Old Elk is gonna people are either gonna love it or they're not gonna be crazy about it. Generally, bourbon drinkers don't like a lot of maltiness, usually. But like I said, if you like a Chattanooga high malt or something like that, then I think you'll like the Old Elk. But are you gonna wanna pay $120 for it? The more I taste it, it's like, I don't know, for me, it's just getting maltier and maltier. And those beautiful like Armagnac, Port, and Sherry finishes that I wanna taste are starting to get overpowered by the malt. Yeah, the Magnus, I could taste the Armagnac. I could taste the Sherry. That's what I kind of want in a cigar blend or cigar type finished bourbon or whiskey. So, all right, let me think about this one and let's go to the final breakdown. All right, time for the final breakdown. The price for the Old Elk Cigar Cut, you're looking at $120, $125. Secondary market value, I have not seen these on the secondary market. Generally, you don't see a lot of Old Elks at all unless there may be picks that are pretty special. But for the most part, I haven't seen this either upcharged or on secondary at all. Availability, it is a limited release, but it's an ongoing release. So if you happen to miss it, you will get a chance to get it again down the line. At this point, Old Elk has really good distribution, so I'll still say limited, but if you pay attention to when Old Elk is releasing stuff, you'll probably have a good shot to get this one. Value for this one. So in the context, when you put it against Joseph Manus, which generally are $200 to $250 bottles in places, $120 for a cigar cut is actually not that bad. But with all the distillers that I think will be releasing, you know, cigar type blends or cigar type pairing whiskeys or finished whiskeys. So for this one, you know, Old Elk I still think is struggling somewhat with the age versus the pricing of their whiskey, which is why I think a lot of, you know, Old Elk bottles I see are still kind of sitting around, unfortunately. I still do think they make great whiskey. I just wish those prices would come down. So I'm gonna say that this is a low value. All right, so most I'd pay, I mean retail. I don't think it's worth any more. I already think it's overpriced, 120, but I wouldn't want to go higher than that. If, you know, if I saw it in a store for like 150 or 200, yeah, no. Retail, 120, that's where you stay. All right, so alternatives. We already talked about Joseph Manus Cigar Blend. That's the easy choice, and I think most folks would like that better than this one. Other cigar themed whiskeys you could look at is we mentioned the Starlight. They're cigar batches, but again, they're using Amburana, which gives a huge just bolt of cinnamon and vanilla icing. They're very sweet. It just feels like you're drinking Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Now, whether or not you want to pair that with a cigar, that's up to you. But you can get those bottles for about, you know, $60 to $70, which is a lot cheaper than both of them. You have the Buzzard's Roost Cigar Rye, which they're actually aging with some tobacco leaves, utilizing that one. So, and to be honest, I think there's going to be a lot more to come soon from different distilleries. So the alternatives are out there, and I just think they're just going to be more of them as we go down the line. Lastly, is it a recommend? Is it a skip? Is it a try before you buy? Is it a buy or is it a buy and back it up? This is probably the easiest try before you buy I'm ever going to have. It's like as soon as I tasted it, I'm like, people are really going to love this or they're going to not like it at all. I think the high malt content in this whiskey is either what's going to make or break folks when tasting it, especially for 120 bucks. That's a lot to ask. You know, for this on paper, you love the finishes, you love that Greg Metz, who's an absolute legend, is, you know, creating this for folks. But that high malt mash bill is gonna be what makes or breaks this for certain people. So don't go running out and thinking that this is gonna taste like a Joseph Manus. It's completely different. It's more chocolatey, it's more malty, it's a little bit more drying. And until you taste it, I recommend you don't make that decision for 120 bucks quite yet. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review for the new Old Elk Cigar Cut. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know if you guys have had this one, what you think. Did you think it was worth it? Did you not think it was worth it? Would you rather just pay the money for Joseph Manus? Always love hearing from you guys. And with all that said, like I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers. See you next time right here on The Mash and Drum. Take care, everybody.